My mission is clear. I'm focused. I'm prepared. I'm ready. I've been trained by the best. I went to Howard University that overturned legal segregation in this country. I've been taught in those classrooms where Thurgood Marshall once taught. I'm not afraid of no president. Donald Trump, we're ready for you. We're coming for you. We're standing up for you. We're fighting on. We're not going down silent. Victory, my friends, is clear. It's now. And I'm not waiting 4 years. I'm waiting 2 until a speaker by the name of Hakeem Jeffries comes to bring us some rest. Come on, ladies. It's up to us. We saved this democracy before. We'll save it now. Let's go.
Letitia James is feeling a little bit of pressure after being called out for alleged mortgage fraud. Attorney General Pam Bondi is justifying the deportation of an illegal immigrant that Democrats want to be returned back to the United States. We've got radical leftists calling for violence against President Trump again. Former President Joe Biden finally makes his return to the limelight, and polls continue to show how popular President Trump is with the people. Guys, we have a lot to go through, so let's go ahead and jump right in with New York Attorney General Letitia James. So President Trump is now calling for her to relinquish her position. Now, this comes after evidence has been revealed which suggests her taking part in mortgage fraud. Isn't that ironic?
Remember that song from the 90s, Things That Make You Go, This is that. The Ingram angle obtaining documents from the Federal Housing Finance Agency accusing James of, quote, falsifying records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. Now, here is what she's accused of doing. 1, listing a home in Virginia as her primary residence in 2023 while serving as New York's top prosecutor. 2, James reportedly also listed her father as her husband on mortgage applications. And 3, the Federal Housing Finance Agency says she bought a 5-family home in Brooklyn, but misrepresented the same property as only having 4 units in building permit applications and numerous documents. Now, this, of course, is a role reversal of sorts for James. In 2022, she won a $454 million civil fraud judgment against President Trump and the Trump Organization, stating he falsified business records and misrepresented his net worth. That case currently on appeal. James frequently sat in the courtroom throughout those proceedings. No love lost between the two, as you can see in some of these pictures. President Trump reacting to the new accusations against her, writing on Truth Social. Letitia James, a totally corrupt politician, should resign from her position as New York State Attorney General immediately. Everyone is trying to make New York great again, and it can never be done with this wacky crook in office.
Now, a spokesperson for Letitia James says that the Trump administration is weaponizing the U.S. government, something that oddly sounds familiar to what happened to President Trump as he faced case after case. They also added that the Attorney General won't be intimidated by bullies, no matter who they are. However, the evidence is already speaking for itself, and if she's prosecuted, she may have to face the music, which calls back to her very famous quote that no one is above the law. You guys remember her saying that? And hey guys, I keep getting messages from you guys, comments saying, hey Ron, I keep missing your videos. I keep missing the breaking news. Can you please make sure I get notified? So I've taken care of you guys. All you got to do is hit the link in the description down below this video or in the pinned comment and join the breaking news newsletter. That's it. Totally free. Now moving on to Attorney General Pam Bondi, who recently went on Fox News to talk about an MS-13 gang member, the same one that Democrats are rallying around because they feel as if he's not a terrorist. Now, Pam Bondi made it absolutely clear that this guy doesn't deserve to be in the United States and that he's now exactly where he belongs.
This is an extremely disturbing case, and as a career prosecutor, it is even more disturbing. Every American tonight should be thanking Donald Trump for making America safer by getting this guy out of our country. I'm going to call him a terrorist because he has been designated as a member of a terrorist organization. So this illegal alien terrorist came into our country illegally in March of 2012. We know that because he admitted that when he was stopped in 2019 by the anti-gang squad. They stopped him at a Home Depot with 3 other members. And here's what's very important. He was wearing a sweatshirt with gang insignia on it. The guy he was with, another MS-13 known member, had a tattoo with very similar insignia on it. ICE declared him as a member of MS-13. The police officers, the gang unit, declared him as a member of MS-13. And also, they independently went to a reliable, confidential informant who said not only is he a member of MS-13, he gave them the clique, the Westerns, and he was called a Chicao, which is one of the higher-ranking MS-13 members. So they rightfully detained him, rightfully. An immigration judge agreed. An appellate immigration judge agreed. Now here's where it gets even more frightening. In 2021, his girlfriend previously, his wife at the time, who he had married in jail after he'd gotten numerous tickets, didn't show up for court. He marries her in jail. She has a baby with him. And as a career domestic violence prosecutor, too, I know it takes a lot for any woman to come into court and say they're a victim of domestic violence. This woman came into court twice getting a restraining order against him, saying it's horrific. He had beaten her. He had punched her in the eye. He had ripped her clothes off. What causes a young mother to do this? Her child was with her. She talked about her child in the petition for an injunction for safety. Ultimately, she didn't show up for court. That's your typical domestic violence victim. But this victim was even braver because she was married to one of the top MS-13 members who was illegally in our country and a terrorist.
But instead of thanking the president, radical leftists are again calling for violence. And you're not going to believe just how brazen they are with their words nowadays. It's kind of like they're completely drowning in propaganda at this point. And the only solution is to have President Trump removed from office permanently.
Beheaded Donald Trump, are you calling for his death?
I am, yes. I believe it's time that the people straight cut his head off.
I believe that the minute that Donald Trump decided to start ignoring judicial orders, he gave up the right to be the rightful president of the United States. He's an enemy of the nation, and yes, I'd like to see him hung by his feet by a lamppost.
You wouldn't necessarily call for violence, would you? Are you supporting violence?
I think there's the people in power, that's all they're going to listen to at this point. I feel like we've done the rallies, we've done all these things, and they don't listen, and that was something that finally got people to listen.
Only way we're getting Donald Trump or J.D. Vance or his ilk out of power is having tens of millions in this people in the streets, and we're going to probably have to have a few thousand people die at the hands of cops and soldiers before people get outraged enough to actually force the government to resign.
Now, remember, they had either Joe Biden or Kamala Harris last year. They then paired Harris with Governor Tim Walz, a guy who doesn't necessarily scream confidence when you hear him talk. They had one of the weakest tickets in their party's history, guys. But it's Trump and J.D. Vance's fault that they won? Like, how does that even make sense? They just keep claiming that the MAGA crowd is violent, that these are people who will hurt whoever they need to hurt in order to get their way. And yet the only people who are talking about inflicting pain on others are Democrats. And here's what you're not going to hear. You're not going to hear the leadership of the left condemn this message because they've actually already succeeded in sending the message that they want. The message that President Trump is a dictator and that nothing short of an assassination will stop him from ruining the country. Hey, by the way, guys, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below. Now, I want to talk about former President Joe Biden. He's finally come out of hibernation. And yes, his first public speech, it was as good as we all expected it to be.
Dr. Jill letting Joe out for a night. Unsupervised, former President Joe Biden whispering, shouting, and making shocking racial gaffes during his first public speech since piecing out of the White House.
Thank you. So good to be here. It's never been this divided. Granted, it's roughly 30%, but it's a 30% that has no heart. That's what the legislation is about. It's about dignity, simple dignity. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity. I'd never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time I was only going in the 4th grade. And I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by.
Wow, I'm not sure if he had a teleprompter this time around, but if not, they should probably get back to that practice. Now, while we're seeing the Democrats just continue to go down in flames, President Trump is now being seen as popular as ever. Even CNN can't refute these facts. So here's the reality when you ask Trump voters if they regret their decision.
Let's talk about Trump voters and how they feel. Do they regret their vote?
I mean, this is the big question, right? I hear all these stories, all these articles. All the Trump voters, they regret what they did back in 2024. I'm here to tell you, very few of them regret what they did back in 2024. What are we talking about? Trump voters looking back at 2024. We got a new poll out. The poll was conducted this month. What percentage would change their vote to a different candidate? We're talking just 2%, just 2%. That's not even a wide spot on the road. And then there's this additional 1% who say they would rather not vote. We're talking overall under 5% might or would have changed their vote, Donald Trump voters back in 2024. And then you ask, okay, the same question to Kamala Harris voters, and it turns out the numbers are rather similar. So if there was a repeat, if folks got to be able to redo their vote that they had back in 2024, would the result be any different? I doubt it would be. I doubt it would be, or it would still be extremely close. The bottom line is, for all this talk of Trump voters regretting their vote, in the numbers, it really just doesn't show up.
I don't know. The numbers just don't lie. A majority of the country continues to show their support for President Trump. This is despite the narrative from the opposition that Americans are tired of him already. Now, switching gears here just for a little bit, I want to redirect you to a recent live stream of mine. I talked about the earthquake in California, right along with the insanity of sending Katy Perry up in space. This one's for the book, so make sure you guys check that one out. As always, thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing. We'll see you next time.